time now for a look at today's business news with Anka Ula. Hi, Anka.
Hi, Jeannie.
Now, you are looking at the growing backlash against the NBA in China, something that could cost billions of dollars.
That's right. So it took more than 30 years for the NBA to build up a multi-billion-dollar industry in China, but all it took was one tweet to knock all of that down. Today, Chinese state broadcaster CCTV said it would stop airing upcoming NBA preseason matches and that it's investigating all cooperation with the body. Streaming platform Tencent, which owns digital rights for NBA matches in China, said it would also temporarily suspend preseason matches. The backlash comes in response to a now-deleted tweet from Houston Rockets manager Daryl Morey, which supported Hong Kong's protesters. China says speech that threatens its national sovereignty cannot be protected under freedom of expression. Now, the NBA, which said it regretted upsetting Chinese fans but stood by Morey, stands to lose a lot of money in China. 490 million people watched last season's basketball games on Tencent, and this year the platform reportedly paid $1.5 billion for the rights to all of the NBA's matches over the next 5 years.
Now, basketball isn't the only point of contention between the U.S. and China. They're still embroiled in a heated trade war, and today the U.S. blacklist of Chinese companies just got longer.
That's right, Jeannie. So days before a new round of U.S.-China trade talks, Washington added another 28 Chinese companies to its trade blacklist. The Commerce Department said that the organizations had been targeted for their involvement in human rights abuses against Uyghurs and other mainly Muslim minorities in the country. Now, the list includes some of China's top artificial intelligence startups, including video surveillance firm Hikvision, as well as leaders in facial recognition technology SenseTime and Megvii technology as well.
So how's all of that playing out in the markets?
Well, there are a lot of jitters on financial markets around the world as investors are really struggling to decipher what all of this means for the future of those trade talks between the two biggest economies, which resume on Thursday this week. Now, in Europe, every major index is trading down at midday, with the DAX shedding the most points. Germany's biotech company QIAGEN plunged 16.5% to three-year lows after a sales warning, dragging that index down. Now, earlier, Asian markets saw healthy gains across the board. Chinese markets actually saw a positive return from a week-long holiday break, with some optimism there. Now, lastly, the British pound took a beating on currency markets. Sterling hit a one-month low against the euro and a one-week low against the dollar. This after reports suggested that Brexit negotiations are breaking down between Britain and the EU, so still a lot of tension on the markets.
We're going to talk about smartphones now, and it seems like there's a new one coming out on the market all the time, but actually more and more people are in the market for used phones. Why is that?
Well, some of it is purely a financial reason. Refurbished phones cost less money. Other people see it as an environmentally friendly option because it limits waste. But regardless of the reason, the number of people turning to used phones is on the rise. And that's creating a whole sector of new jobs. Yana Lee takes a look at the burgeoning business here in France.
Bringing smartphones back to life. This French company brands itself as a cheap and ethical alternative to technology giants. Workers here used to repair landline cables before finding ways to adapt to the modern market.
For over 30 years, we repaired various telecom materials, such as ADSL kits, Minitel kits, anything that could be connected to a landline.
And they did so until 2011, when the company found itself on the brink of collapse. 6 managers took over and decided to focus on repairing and reselling smartphones.
Without them, we would have all been looking for jobs. We were left hanging. It's reassuring now. We have a bright future here.
This company alone has repaired 200,000 phones, raking in revenues of €9 million. And the managers here are hoping to hire 300 more people at their factory in the south of France. In France, over 2.1 million refurbished phones were sold last year, a 7% bump, while the sales of new devices have gone down 6.5%. It's a promising sector that shows no signs of slowing down. 30 million smartphones are on their last legs in France, ready to be refurbished.
Now, demands for refurbished phones hasn't slowed down the world's biggest smartphone maker, Samsung, which is expected to see higher sales this quarter.
So analysts predict that the South Korean tech giant smartphone sales should be boosted by the launch of its Galaxy Note 10 this August, which has sold better than any other model before it. But Samsung also warned that its operating profit is still slumping, and that's due to a slowdown in global demand for computer chips, which is its core industry. The firm predicted that its operating profit for the quarter lasting from July to September will drop by 56% compared to last year, which would be its fourth consecutive quarter of drops in profit. Now, analysts do expect chip prices, however, to stabilize in coming months, which means Samsung could end up being saved by the bell.
Anka, just to wrap up now, you've been looking at a law here in France that's meant to protect small producers, but has actually ended up hurting some of them.
Well, the new law puts restrictions on how much supermarkets and stores can put items on sale. It bans promotions like the buy one, get one free promotion and limiting how much the stock of a particular item can be sold at a reduced price. James Vecina explains how this plan has backfired for some small producers.
It was supposed to protect small producers, but now many say sales are declining. The so-called food law, introduced in 2018, put an end to certain special offers, such as buy one, get one free, and banned supermarkets from selling more than a quarter of an item's stock at a discounted price. This in an effort to redistribute supermarket revenue so farmers get more for what they produce. But small business owners like Fabien Chevalier had hoped for more time to adapt to the new strategy.
A maximum of 25% for a product. When you take it item by item, it could penalize us. We'd like to have a period of adaptation, so that it would be 45% this year and go down over time to reach 25% by 2020. But that request wasn't granted.
Sales of other products, such as champagne, have already declined, down by 9.5% over the first half of the year. And some are fearing for the worse for small and medium-sized businesses.
The Easter holiday was already a disastrous time for champagne producers and for seasonal products such as foie gras. There were less special offers, which resulted in less sales. So what producers experienced over Easter could be even worse over Christmas.
A grim forecast, which the Ministry of Agriculture refused to comment on.
Anka, thanks so much for that look at today's business news.